Hello, hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Long time no see. Hope I'm coming through fine on this nice Friday evening. Got a good group of people waiting. Thanks, everybody. Wind Charger, Coltron.
Hello.
Oh, boy. There we go. El Kevo, David, Ninja, Titus, Cringe. How's it going? TFT Farmers 2002. It's good to see everybody. Got a few fun things to talk about. I'm sure you can bring up some more. I got a old house that I am fixing up, a second house to put on the market. Now that my mom has passed, I got to deal with that. So I've been busy, so I'm sorry I haven't been on here as much, but I am worn out by the end of the week, the last few weeks. So that's what's been up with me. And here I am. Alan G, how's it going? Hope you all had a good week. A lot of news has come out in the last few weeks. I figured I'd just top line a few of the things that I touched. So anyway, it is Friday night. You have found yourself on the Toy Armada Live with Aaron Archer. I am, of course, Aaron Archer, a longtime toy designer for Hasbro Kenner and independent efforts. And we usually talk a little bit about a specific part of the toy business, usually Transformers. Then we just generally talk about whatever on this Friday night hang. My light's a little severe, sorry. So I just definitely thought it'd be fun to talk Vector Prime for sure. And we could talk the Transformer 1 trailer for sure. Not in the granular detail that some people might cover, but I do have some interesting insights. Hey, Princeton Phalanx, how are you? So I do have some thoughts on what I saw in that trailer, how I viewed it, which might be a little different than how some other people would have seen it. So still pretty cool that they overall I think it's pretty cool that there's the animated movie finally, because when I was there we pitched a person from Paramount Animation or something, like a division they hadn't even started, and before they even started he left. And so this concept was in discussion back in 2013 or 12, 11 even. So we could talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk about Vector Prime primarily and Cybertron Hotshot. Cybertron Hotshot, I have less stuff to say, I suppose, but hold on, I'm just trying to find my way here. Okay. I need to do a better job of following along and making sure everything's working. So, looks like I sound good. Got a good group of people right now. Thank you. All right, so let's see. There he is. So Vector Prime, for those playing at home, I created Vector Prime as part of the Cybertron line to represent a god level character that could come in and be a bit of a catalyst for the action that needed to take place. He ended up becoming one of the original 13 in that process because we wanted somebody epic, and at that time I was looking to fill in the lost knowledge a little bit on the brand, or codify some of that, which became, a little bit more of the aligned continuity down the road. But at this time, we were just trying to make a character that could be something more epic, beyond Optimus. One of the issues that I always felt Alpha Trion suffered from was he was this old man robot that was kind of like the old sage, kind of lost office worker. I wanted this next version of that type of character to be more active and battle ready. So let's see here. All right, so there's the original. What I'll say about the original proportions that you obviously can't get from a retool is going to be apparent. So the length of the nose, I like the length of the ship. The side fins being what they were kind of a big component of the ship. On the robot, again, since I was trying to make this regal character, or epic level character, he's got the big shoulder pads, which kind of make, he's got big armor, the forearms and the shoulder pads. Those were just volume and kind of shape location things, not so much on purpose of design, but I like how that all worked out. And I wanted a really big sword with this character at the time. The original design, one of the reference points we used was the Sith Infiltrator. One of several. But it ended up, we even changed it further. Put more detail or something in it. To get it further away from the Sith Infiltrator. But that was a kind of a early inspiration. So there's that. And then, so this is then, now the robot, the robot's pretty good. For being a retool, what can you do? You got the shoulder pads and chest and head that are accurate. The head is really accurate, in my opinion. Colors are really good. Comes with the sword. I like how they put the cyber key in the sword. That's a nice tactic. I don't know what's going on with the chest radar dish there. I don't know if it should be red in the center, but maybe that's, I don't know. I can't tell if that's a translucent piece or just if this was a digi color that I'm using here. I don't know. The thing that was also a big part of Vector Prime was all the filigree and little etching and clock-like detail. And we just went crazy with that. So it's most obvious here on, the shins and the legs that it's a little different, because that should all be gear type detail. Um, I should have studied the original ship a little bit more, but this whole front nose cone, obviously they added. Pretty cool. Hold on here. All right, so I think something's lost in the proportion of the wings on the ship, the side solar wings. Something's not there proportionally. So I don't know. For a retool, what are you gonna do? That's another aspect. So is this guy honored by this retool overall as a character use? And I'd say 80% absolutely he is. Good colors, overall form, definitely. Even the sword being painted on the top of the ship. There's a lot of good aspects there. For being a retool, I can't be too hard on it. I know how hard that is, and how much effort goes into that. And you can't fix a whole toy by making a whole new toy. The only way to fix a toy is by making a whole new toy. So you gotta live with parts. You're gonna have to live with the parts that remain. So I think this is pretty good. This is one of my I don't know what to call it, core characters that I feel I contributed to the lore for the long haul, and I'm glad to see it here again. I'm curious a little bit if this represents his version of the original 13 that they're doing. I'm going to assume that it does. I don't know why they would come out with another Vector Prime, not too soon after. So is this the kickoff figure of that era? I wonder. This guy obviously has a lot of redeco opportunities. There's the more white and brown look. There's the gold look. Can be redecoed obviously into Alpha Trion pretty easily and effectively if you wanted to, from the BotCon kind of approach. So all in all, it's pretty cool. Again, for what a retool is and can be, it's pretty cool here. I'm not gonna totally hide my disappointment that he doesn't get a full new tool, but I've been there and I can be practical about that situation. So what do you guys have to say? Yeah, Austin, hate the new Vector Prime. All the night aesthetic and gear aesthetic is gone, and yeah, he doesn't. As a result of the side solar wings being different, they're not acting as a cape anymore, or making that silhouette. Yeah, pretty cool. The new one does look less like a Sith infiltrator, that's for sure. I don't I don't think so. You got to get really close to a design to really get legal action put against you, and some of what the Synth Infiltrator brings to the party isn't. It could be hard to defend that unless it looks exactly in that zone. Yeah, the forearm guards. That's an element. Yeah, definitely the original Vector Prime looks more like a classic, heavy armor knight or big plate armor knight. That's just an observation, not a criticism, but that is going to be some of the differences. Yeah, yeah. David, yeah, the sword, that's another Aaron Archer old school trick there. I like to be able to hide those swords and things, have them somewhere to go. So, that is a nice little feature with that one that you can hide the sword in there. Ding ding ding. Yeah, Ninjatron, that could be true. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that version. I mean, it does look like Vector Prime. It certainly, for some of the redecos that we've had over the years, where we don't even change a head, and it's a satisfying version of a certain character, or just with a head change. This one has a lot of elements put to it. They've obviously made the effort to make it the character as best they can with the tools they were going to change. So, I think I'm just going to sound redundant here at that point. Yeah, chicken wings. They do look a little chicken wingy, don't they now? Comparatively. When you look at the full silhouette, it's like all the details are there, and I'm happy about that. But then the proportion and location and scale of all that is, like, it's okay, But, again, what are you going to do? Yeah, that's fair. These are more what I guess we'd call animation colors, which is another effort. Every time they redo these things, they're not trying to homage the toy; they're homaging the character. And if they can get it more accurate, or through design or colorway on this particular case, they're gonna do it right. Um, There's no Vector Prime in the Prime listing, so I assume this covers that character. So think about that if you're gearing up for those primes. This is potentially Vector Prime's version. So don't miss out, because if you get a couple in and then you want to jump on, I suppose you're gonna miss out on some of these. Uh, that's true too. It might just be the 2025 list, but I don't know. I If they bothered to do this one, I gotta assume this might be the one that covers off Vector Prime. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking the effort was made. It's not. He's not that important. Well, to who he's important to, he is important. So I don't want to downplay him. Just wanted to ask Austin, why is modern Hasbro so keen on recycling 13 primes as a concept? Is it just a brand continuity thing? I've wondered this myself. When that we talked a little bit about it when the announcement came out that they were doing those characters. I'm going to assume. So my mindset is, where can there be connectivity for them to want to do those characters? And maybe there's some aspect of Transformers 1 that we don't see yet, or we assume they'll cover but haven't seen yet, about the origins of the Transformers. There's a little bit of hint to that in the trailer. So I don't know. I wonder if it's connected to that. And if it's not connected to that, I do have to kind of scratch my head and go, why are they doing these characters? They're not. The main story is Optimus Prime versus Megatron, Autobots and Decepticons, Cybertron. You're adding in this extra layer of lore, which is great for everybody who goes deep into it. But it's not a fun necessarily fun characters that people know yet, and certainly not Earth forms. So that is a bit weird. So there's some sort of effort behind the scenes, I imagine, going on where they're going to use these characters. Or they're just really committed to their brand at this point and are looking for ways to bring classic newness to the brand. I mean, there's always characters that for whatever reason you don't make, and maybe that they've gotten to that point on the long list. Could be another way to look at it. Hey, Darkanen. Okay. Mr. Archer, I want to say thank you for all your contributions to the Transformers brand over the years and our community as a whole. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. A great community, great knowledgeable people. 40 years worth of various different ways to slice this thing and talk about it, and everything in between. So I enjoy the communication as much as you guys do. I like this audience. I like this fan base. So thank you. And I appreciate you and still enjoying the work. Thanks. Yeah, I'm not, T-Formers, I'm not familiar with the Jaxus mold. I remember when it came through, I should have studied up on it, but hello, Texas. How's it going? Texas guy. I like it. Hope that's not like Florida man. So I don't know that original mold to really know how far it's gone. I haven't studied. I remember when it came out. I'm interested to see what the new Alpha Trion will be considering. We just got Scourge retooled. Yeah, I don't know. It could retool this Vector Prime again. I mean, honestly. Some of these characters that are kind of old many, like Alpha Trion, maybe they don't want to do a brand new tool. Whereas some of the more aggressive characters like Liege Maximo or somebody I don't think he's on the list yet, but they could really do some dynamic stuff. That'd be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do. T-Formers 2002 with the $5 super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Again, I'm an independent artist, and every bit helps and makes this easier to do. I appreciate it. Thank you. The Primes line is rumored to be a trilogy, so most likely be the second or third year we might see a different version. Okay. So that's good. They're doing it multi-year, so that's something to chase and look forward to. As they work whatever the story is in the background, whether that be in video game, comic, or the movie. Yeah, I mean, Vector is. That's my own personal feeling. Like that's me trying to be a little humble about Vector Prime not being that important. Yeah, he is important. I appreciate that. Thanks. I do think now that the Primes we're getting next year are connected to their appearance in the movie. I would think that they'd want to tether it to something. But I don't know. Again, when you think of it from a story standpoint, the easiest way to consider it is, before Zeus and Neptune, I guess, and Pluto, got their start, they had to overthrow their parents and Saturn and Titans and things like that. And that story just serves to show you how big these dudes are and, kind of their presence, and to give some pedigree that something came before. So with the Transformers, it's Optimus and Megatron and their story, like I said. So the how they got those epic powers and that there's bigger machinations going on behind the scenes, and that's where the story of the 13 fits in. That's helpful. It's additive. But to focus then on that part of the story, They're not fully formed characters yet, in every case, unless you've read the novel and whatnot, and the Covenant book. But again, they're still not the primary movers of the brand. They're not the top tier anything until they make something out of it, until they use them, until they promote them. But even then, you're talking about god level characters without human interaction. So there's only a few places that kind of stuff can get out there. But it is service to the fans who know the stuff. So again, I'm weighing a lot of different things in my mind as I think about them. So yeah, we'll see what they do with it as we go on. It'd be an interesting ongoing discussion for the next few years, no doubt. I don't know. Mark Mahar is kind of dropping hints at some kind of sea change in 2026. Yeah, I'm sure. We'll see how it goes. Thoughts on how little love Energon has gotten in comparison to its brothers? Seems like it'll forever be less popular middle child. Well, I talk a little bit about that on the latest long form. Why that might be, of the Toy Armada. So check that out if you haven't checked it out. That's one of our latest ones. And I don't know if it's because of the combining. Some of the characters that would be worth maybe revisiting are just too standard. Starscream is kind of a classic Starscream once you color him correctly. Although having a deluxe Starscream is kind of nice. But we've done a lot of that. There's been a lot of that. After that, I don't know why we haven't seen a Scorponok, I guess. I used to have a certain list, and over the last year and a half now, Vector Prime has gotten made, our Armada Optimus has gotten made, a few others, Tidal Wave. So now I'm getting to Scorponok is a pretty good character that deserves maybe a look. But Energon is tricky. It has the combining elements. I guess they made the Megatron, the tiny Megatron, which is right there. Thank you. Interesting to think about. I do like that the current design team likes the El Kevo, likes some of the off-the-wall stuff. I had a theory that I used to talk about with the team. Don't underestimate the power of the weird. Every toy line has some weird elements or a weird character or just the opportunity for weird, and those are items people kind of fondly remember. Like I would put Psycho from GoBots, right, as one of the, weird. It's got the big weird head and folds and skinny legs and but cool in its own way because it's weird. And there's some Transformer heads and G1 and so on. G.I. Joe has some characters that are just weird, like Raptor, and if you're just into weird, it's out there and that's fun. So that's why the designers have a good time. A cool sports car, unless you're really into cool sports cars, and you don't get to do them, you're breaking them all up anyway. Transformers is one place you can have a lot of range as a designer. All, replica, made up stuff, fantasy stuff, beasts, techno beasts, organical it's pretty wild. And all in the same toy line. That's what I love about Cybertron. It has a little bit of everything in it. Superlink gets hated because the show is nonsense. Yeah. But someone getting the OG toys last year, they're easily the funnest UT toys. Yeah, if you get into those deluxe combiners, you can have a lot of fun. I follow a guy, Plastic Armada, on Instagram, And he's come up with, he likes to give the combo depending on who's top, who's bottom. He gives them whole new names. So, if Prowl is on top of Rodimus, it's he's got a whole, Prowl Fire, or, Rapid Fire, kind of thing. So kind of cool way to think about it. Okay, I'm going to cut back here to, let's see. That's the new one. So there's the new version. New robot. This is best I could do for the old robot. And car. I think Proto Man did a pretty good job the other day reviewing this. That it's very difficult to appreciate the subtlety of what's happening here. This is one of the kind of those rare times where just the type of vehicle and scale overall, it's going to look very similar. A sleek four-wheeled vehicle is only going to it's going to have a certain look, and these can match up very well and easily, and they do. I don't really know what else to say about this. They wanted to make a sports car, and they did, and Hot Shot is always a great addition. They were able to get that cyber key in there. And the weapon, which is fun. A little bit. I'm going to use the term generic, but I don't mean it how people think of it as a bit negative. But this is just going to be a great base vehicle, I think, for a few opportunities down the road. A lot of redeco and retooling opportunities around just changing out the head or color swapping, let alone weapon swapping or anything else. I can see this being used several times. It's such a foundational vehicle. And again, it's not suffering from too much of the or there was not as much finesse put towards the posture of the robots when I was doing this for the Unicron trilogy. Again, it was the play feature and just the overall look was important. But what is nice about the modern legacy version here is that I think he sits better. The shoulders look, they don't get very wide and weird. I feel like this guy could function in the world a little easier than the original one, as far as not knocking in the stuff and not having his arms be so far apart. So, nice. You can see where they don't have the money to do the rims. They didn't add the logo to the front of the vehicle, which tells me there's opportunity for redecos, setting that up. They didn't have as big a clear molds as I had to deal with. Still has that windshield hanging off the back, which just is what it is. So that is that guy. Oop. There he is. So you can see there his shoulders get really wide in this version. And you can see the painted rims on the original. But not real much else to say that hasn't been said. It's a faithful revisioning of that character, Hot Shot, which I know we have some Hot Shot fans in the house. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost my place. Oh my goodness. All right. Wow, already 10:40? How did that happen? I knew I was a couple minutes late, but 10:40 already. Wow. So you found yourself at the Toy Armada. I'm Aaron Archer. I am a toy designer and artist. I sell sketchbooks. I sell original art. On my site there, archermonster.com. If you're so inclined, check out what I currently have still available. I'm drawing on original instruction art or pages with Posca pens. Next up is Movie Jetfire. I'm looking forward to doing that one. Might do a little bit more body on that one because he's got a cool silhouette with all that stuff hanging. All that stuff hanging. I'd love to see Universe 2003 get some more love. You know, that would be fun. Some of those redecos. Is that what you mean? Yeah, that would be cool. I appreciate you saying that, Noble. You know, that was our first, excuse me. All right. That was our first foray into some of this kind of more epic storytelling, right? Unicron had some kind of pocket universe going. So that could be cool to kind of look at that, what was easily considered a redeco line, pull it up into a bit of a story place and where does it fit. That could be cool. That could be cool. Baron, the new designing team is simply acknowledging that Cybertron is the best part of the Unicron trilogy, and you're loving it. Cybertron has some great stuff going. You know, after 3 years and getting some more help, we were able to really come up with some cool stuff there finally. Or the elevation of our work over a couple years got us to that point. There are some epic toys certainly there. And yeah, El Kevo, Energon is the kind of awkward middle child. I've thought of that, Coltron. You know, if they would do a mini-con pack overall and just cover off, I guess, all the heavy hitters, but that's heck of a tooling issue, I imagine. So I don't know if that's feasible. Yeah. And for those of you playing at home today, Jiro is outside at the moment, so he will not be busting in. Daniel made that fun little edit. I hope you guys had a good time with that. If you missed that, check it out. Jiro the Super Cat. But overall, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the trailer now, since time is kind of running out. So the trailer came out. What I'm, you know, we always, the whole crux of the Align continuity was to try to figure out why this planet operates the way it does when we encounter it. Why has there been a million-year war? Why are there these things called Autobots and Decepticons? What is the core nature of their conflict, and why are the leaders of that conflict, Optimus and Megatron, so why was the rift so a big deal that this is still going on, this battle? So we came up with a whole story about how they were actually colleagues in a way, or got trained with each other and had a difference of philosophy, and something went down, and so on and so forth. And we really built that in, and that was our goal, to kind of give some grounding to why the overall battle is a battle. And that's essentially what the Transformers 1 looks to get into. They've added the element of maybe some Transformers don't transform until they earn it, or they're low level. That was not part of anything that we ever worked on. We always considered them all able to transform as a nature of being a Cybertronian, but there's ways in and out of that. So it's got a lot of potential. I'm sure wherever it goes will be interesting. I do think that the Orion Pax design that kind of everybody in general agrees with, that was part of the Covenant book, if I remember correctly, or some book. Very similar design. Very kind of even Megatron. In his more utilitarian vehicle, before he would become a tank. We had him kind of in that same visual vernacular. So to me, it feels like finally they executed this film that, not that we started way back then, but certainly the building blocks for that kind of opportunity, got started, and looks like they're following through with it, and they've added Bumblebee and all that more modern element of it. So that'll be cool. I wonder how it connects up to the films in the big scheme of things, but it's not really important, is it? I think this overall, I'm not an automatic fanboy for everything, even though it seems like all these reissues and things they're doing are remakes. I'm pretty positive on. There was nothing in that trailer that bothered me, that I said, "Oh, geez, that's wackadoo." I don't know who the person is that is Megatron's voice. I'm not sure I'm supposed to know as a 50-year-old man. He's got to be some more trendy or known to the audience they're trying to hit. That was the only thing I'm like, okay, that name doesn't do anything for me. But other big names are on there for sure, so that looks pretty interesting. So that's my take on it. I just like that some of that effort that Hasbro made to figure out its own brand is finally coming to light. Yeah, Energon Tow Line is cheesier. One of my favorites, because it's really me playing with the G1 Ironhide mechanism, right? Kind of that robot. I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. What is G1 Ironhide and the ambulance? They're like little weird bases, and flat-faced robots sit on them, and they're very awkward, right? The actual product. So that is my love letter to that kind of thing, and that's why you can get that weird centaur gimmick. Never would have guessed we would have gotten an unreleased G2 redeco line. Some of my favorite repaints from the last 6 years. Which one? El Kevo, which items are we talking about? Sorry. David Willis with the $10 super chat. Thank you, thank you. In the Binder of Revelation, legacy characters seem to be given alignment polarities with 13 members. Do you recall what Bumblebee's 13 polarities were? If he were assigned any? Yeah, I do kind of recall that. I'll have to look that up, see if I can find anything about that. But I'll look that up somehow. So David, let me get back to you on that one. All right. I appreciate the super chat. That's very kind of you. I am independent, so like I said, every bit helps. So thank you a lot. Cybertron Hotshot. That toy got me back into collecting Transformers. Sorry. No offense, Aaron, but Landcross did the dual combining better. Which one's Landcross? Oh, I struggle with these, remembering these, all the names and where they ended up, or the original names. And sorry, it's the casualty of working on thousands of named items every year. Hey, Larry, how you doing? And we used working names, or we had passion names that we really liked, and then for whatever reason something would have to change, but you would never remember the final name because you used the working title for 9 months before it got changed. So anyway, painted rims are becoming an endangered species. Well, let me tell you, that's 4 paint ops easy on most items, right? 4 wheels. That, can represent that paint can go a lot of different places. They're showing often the tops of the cars in package or the robots now, so you don't even see the rims. So it's not like something that is going to attract someone from the shelf kind of deco. So it's an easy way to put that deco somewhere else or not spend the money. That might represent a couple of pennies on the cost, if not more, depending on what's happening. I'm not a fan of Legacy Shadow Striker Sideburn. The car mode looks like one of those Hot Wheel original designs, and not in a good way. Well, Christopher, first of all, you crack me up because you are exactly right. That totally looks like one of those Hot Wheels original kind of. It's a NASCAR, but not really a NASCAR because we don't have the rights to NASCAR kind of cars. So that is what a car looks like when you don't have the ability to do licensing or want to do licensing, but you want it to have a real world look. You got to have a good form. You got to take the time to do windows and scribe in, windshield wipers or reflector, blinker details, door handles, gas caps, underskirts, pinstriping, anything you can do to give it that illusion of more and more technical detail. So it looks just like a real car. Hotshot does a decent job of that. But if it's not a real car, something, downshift, I think of, there's a few others along the way where we made these realistic looking cars that weren't licensed, and they weren't even squint test licensed. They were just their own thing. And it's hard. It's hard to trick the eye. It's almost a mechanical, uncanny valley, if you're familiar with that concept. And I think that's what you're seeing. I see it too a little bit. But they didn't want to get anywhere near that Viper, so that's what you end up with. The shade of blue on Hot Shot reminds me of my grandmother's car. Your grandmother must have a Buick or a Toyota. I think the figure looks like it was wiped off the screen. Yeah. Ripped from the screen. Yeah, it does look very accurate to the show, which is obviously what they're doing. They're going back and they're looking at these awesome characters that were created during the Unicron trilogy and going, you know what? We can make them better. They could be more accurate, have better color, have the right weapons, whatever it is. And that's great. That's great. Again, the items I made were often before the animation. So it inspired the animation, but they added further, and then they didn't match, right? And they were based around the play features. So the proportions of what might have been in the animation weren't as important if it didn't help, me shoot something or launch something or whatever, flip out a minicon. So they're able to go back and really bring newness and accuracy to from that original look, which is great. And for some of us, you guys all have different aspects to your collection, but I agree with you, Baron. It very well may be so accurate, and you already have the original that you don't need this version. You got to remember in space and time, you can't get the original stuff anymore. So there's all this stuff serves different people for different needs. So you might not need to get it. Cybertron Hotshot has lots of joints, but they can't do much. Yeah. Yep. What other opinion did you have at the moment for the third Megatron beast forms besides the big red dragon? Some kind of Mecha Godzilla with rocket fingers. I don't remember if I had anything particularly on that one. Hard to get past cooler and cooler dragons. Vector Prime messing with time again. Yeah, here we are, almost 11. We're going to keep going. I don't feel like I need or want the Hot Shot either because how similar it is to the original. But I'll get it anyway. Yeah, I've told this story, but if you haven't heard it, one of the biggest lessons I learned from afar, I learned this from watching what happened next door, was when the original Inferno Ant came out, popular character in Beast Wars, kind of had that funny reoccurring attitude about calling Megatron his queen. And that was fine. The ant did great. It was a big bug. Of all the bugs, at bigger scales, it's probably one of the more successful ones, I would say. The bigger the bugs got, the least successful they were. And then they wanted to do the Transmetal Inferno. And they made almost the same toy, just with different molding, right? Same box size, same overall color. Now it was just mechanical. And that one did not sell very well at the time, from what I remember. And it was basically like there was nothing new on the shelf because it was just the same. It was like, felt like the same item. That was a big deal. So sometimes you can have things so honorific and try to match up that you kind of hurt the business side of things a little bit. Were there any other Optimus combining you wanted to try? Not really. I think we did a lot of what we wanted to do across the board. We always tried to get the trailer to combine somehow, and they ultimately did that in the Cyberverse. No, what was the micro? Maybe that was Cyberverse from the movie. Anyway, but no, we did most of the combining Optimuses because we did combining to, often to make him fly, right? Yeah, David, you're stuck buying that toy, aren't you? No matter what. Hotshot fan. I remember last stream you mentioned the spider tank scrap metal was from the Apocalypse planet that got cut. Were the 3 Cybertron defense bots and Wing Saber from that planet too? I don't think so. I found my Cybertron folder, and it's literally that thick of weird stuff, emails and notes, and mostly handwritten notes. So I got to look through that. Maybe I'll be able to answer that, Niger. So ask that again down the road. Let me look through that. Were the 3 Cybertronian defense bots and Wing Saber from that planet too? I don't think they actually were, but I think there may have been other planets. And we called it the Apocalypse planet for a while. We called it the War planet for a while. We called it the military. We called it military for a while just because that was the theme we were going for. Tanks and armored things and exposed weapons. Because that would have made for a different look compared to the Beast planet or Earth. So let me look into that and see who else, or if anything else, turned into something. Yeah, the evolution in style to Hotshot, it should be pretty evident to see. I think I did. I certainly did the first one in Armada. Energon is a bit of a hybrid. Eric, I think, did the most of that one too, and Cybertron is all Eric. Again, he makes cool, good guys. Eric Siebenaler, who was my design partner on all of the Unicron trilogy, well, at least Energon and Cybertron. Were you guys creating Universe 2003? Was the Unicron depicted supposed to follow the universe singularity where he was the same Unicron across? Yeah, I think that was part of that whole concept, that there was only one Unicron. So no matter who's battling Unicron, it's essentially the same Unicron. And I don't even know if that makes sense, but that sounded cool in the room. I don't want to declare anything from an IP standpoint there, because that sounds a little weird now, but at the time we did say stuff like that. But I don't know if that actually became canon, like canon at some point. But tonight flew by. I can't believe it. Hey, Hotshot fan, which name do you prefer, Cybertron Hotshot or is American Excellion? Well, I'll say I like the name Excellion, but it's a bit of a mouthful. So I like Hotshot. Hotshot's just a great name, it serves a lot of purpose. It says it's fast, maybe a little cocky. often the character is yellow or red, so hot. So that's why we pick a name like Hotshot. It conveys a lot of different things in a positive way. Excellion also makes sense, but maybe not for a main character here. I could have used that name somewhere else and really messed us all up, which could have been funny. Windcharger. It's not going to connect to the other films. Well, that's probably all for the best. It's going to be interesting because without the humans, we're finally getting aspects of what we want. You know, what's life on Cybertron like, and how did this all start? And if these are great characters and have personalities and, you know, some story in them to tell, this is the way to start that process so that more of it can come. And if it doesn't quite work, or people don't connect to the, you know, non-human robots, well, they're just going to go back to boom, bang, bang, and a spectacle. You know, it'll all be a spectacle. It won't be about the subtlety and the stories this way and that way. So let's hope the story is great, and it's just a fun thing, engages new people and gives some insight as to, you know, what happened before all this war stuff. Because at a certain point, you can't keep telling that same story. You got to find new pocket universes, pocket planets, timeline situations where you can go back and fill in more interesting things and do some of the promotions that you want to do, you know. So a lot of opportunity there. When does one come out? Later in the year, right? Yeah, that was my concept, that Unicron is the, you know, everything revolves around Unicron and Cybertron, and Primus had given enough of his energy away, bringing to life all these sparks, that he no longer could do any of those epic things at that time, without having all those pieces brought back to him and all that. But yeah, Unicron should be more, I like him more Lovecraftian and kind of crazy and really wild shaped and everything else. You guys want an art preview? I did the Cybertron a few months ago. This is my preview of the latest Unicron painting. Nice and big. This is probably, I don't know, 75% done. Maybe a little bit more. 77.2% done. So that's on the board, and a few other things. Like I said, movie Jetfire will be my next Instagram. I was gonna talk about sketchbooks tonight, but I think we'll do that another time. But be good to the artists out there when you go to conventions and buy their sketchbooks. It's fun to have all the toys, but, you know, invest in the other media too. And for that, you know, at aaronarcher.com, I still have Volume 2 kicking. Volume 3's in the works, finishing up. So get your Volume 2 before it cuts over. You know, Volume 1's been out of print. I might bring it back with a different color cover, you know, so it's not quite the same cover. But that is out there too. So check that out. Check out the original art if you're into that kind of thing. These are some of the characters I still have. And again, if you got any favorites or any preference, don't be afraid to hit me up. I get contacted all the time. People have sent me specific instructions to draw on. I've done all kinds of stuff. Ninjatron, that one was for you, actually. 77.2. You know what it's like. I'll know when it's done when it's actually done, but I know I got a lot of hours yet, even though I've put a lot of hours in. Thanks everybody for all the compliments on the painting. I have a lot of fun doing that stuff. Yeah. Out of sheer curiosity, how much does Hasbro have a say, I guess is what you want to say, for live action designs? Is it oblivious by Hasbro was giving free reign to parent? Yeah, here's how it works in Hollywood, Austin. I'll just kind of top line that. The first movie, there's a lot of contributors, and no one knows how it's going to go and what parts are going to be important or not in a way. Like the Matrix, like the guys that came up with the new modern crazy special effects, they were just hardworking trying to try something new, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But so when the first movie came out, we obviously on the first one spent a lot of time. Second one less time. Third one even less. Fourth one even less, because the movies were believed to be not, I don't want to say on cruise control, but decisions Michael Bay made contributed to the success of the movies. Therefore, he got more outside say over and over and over to have more say. That's just how Hollywood is. So once we got to the top of the first movie hill, and it was just the ride was going. There was no stopping, and let's get back to basics. It just kept going, and at a certain point, we were riding the dragon, and I'm not calling Michael Bay the dragon. Just the whole thing was fast, epic. You wanted to make cool decisions for situations. We weren't thinking about picture the picture. None of the story structure was made that way. So it makes for an interesting 4 or 5 movies. Yeah. I remember Archer mentioning that he vetoed some choices in 07 Autobots to make sure the designs are still doable in toy form. Yeah, they presented all kinds of things, and some were easier or harder to do. Yeah. I thought about doing a live where I was just detailing out this stuff, but it might get a bit boring. I mean, this is like level 5 detail. I'm going to go in with smaller and smaller pens and, get in there. So I know I'm at least 2 pens and a brush left to go. So I got that much layers to do, Ninja. Yeah. So, Baron, I have a question. If you have the time, sure. The Cybertron versus Minicon packs had wild bios and stories. Did you have anything to do with that? I did not, but I wonder if that was Forrest Lee. I can ask about those. I do remember something about those bios being a little odd. I don't remember why, though. Oh, any Unicron trilogy characters in a live-action movie? I really don't think that way. Not that it wouldn't be cool to see something, but I don't know. I never thought of that. That seems too much to think about. That's funny. Um, so anyway, we've been going at it over an hour. So appreciate you. Appreciate everybody's time here. We've had good number of views, very good concurrent, and all that good stuff. I appreciate David. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. T-Formers 2002. Appreciate you in the super chat. Good discussion on really just 3 things tonight, which is great. Hit me up if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to have me go deep dive in. Particularly, we're getting more and more into Energon. We'll have to do some deep dives into Energon. So if you have any particular segment or assortment there, let's dig that out. So anyway, thanks everybody. Yeah, man, and just some of those guys that do realistic work and stuff. I don't even know. I did a couple week long intensives where you hear like old dudes spend money to go play with retired baseball players or guitar players, play with old band people, and for a week they just jam with I did this with artists. And I remember a friend of mine that I met there. He was a digital painter, and he worked on the same file all week, all day, all week. He was working like 15, 16-hour days just on this one image all day, all week. And it was so subtle, the layers and everything. It was realism. It was amazing realism, but the subtlety, I couldn't do it. I'm a scratcher. I like moving my hand around. I like my marks on a page. I like being gestural. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. That's what's going on today. So I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks you all for being here. Hit me up if you have any good topics or something I should deep dive into. Check out my sites and whatnot for interesting things. And we will see you soon. All right? Thanks, everybody.